What is happening, Cobra Kai fans? Welcome back to the channel for a heartbreaking punch to the gut Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 related video. It's without question that easily the most jaw-dropping, shocking event that happened in Part 2 was the death of a new character that was just introduced in Part 1. And while Quon's death certainly sent shockwaves and heartbreak throughout the fandom, I really want to talk about why, in my opinion, Quan certainly had to die in Cobra Kai Season 6. Now let's cut right to the obvious and the elephant in the room. Quan was a psychopath and arguably the biggest jerk in the show, even more so than Kreese himself. Granted, Kreese is one of the main reasons why Quan ended up the way he is, especially when he instructed Quan explicitly to be heartless. At the end of the day, Quan was the one who picked up the Do with intention to kill with it. And when you pick up a weapon with intent to kill or very seriously harm, you better be prepared to be killed yourself or take whatever punishment that you're planning to dish out. And when you're dealing with a character who's about to commit heinous acts like this, I'm sorry for all you Quan fans, but they gotta go. But not only that, Quan's death is most definitely going to be sending shockwaves throughout inside the show itself to our characters and not just outside the show in the fandom. And what I mean by this is that Quan's death is going to be affecting each one of our characters in their own certain way in Part 3. They're all going to be dealing with the ramifications and consequences that come from that massive brawl that took place that, at the end of the day, everyone partook in. But the main person, the driving force that Quan's death is going to have a consequence for is the one and only Kreese. Kreese has been, of course, one of the more one-note characters in this show. Granted, they did give him a lot of colors and recontextualize him to make us sympathize with him. At the end of the day, Kreese has still been Cobra Kai to a T, showing no mercy for his opponents and always on this wild witch hunt for revenge. Whether that be to Daniel LaRusso, Johnny, or now even Terry Silver. But it was at its worst for Kreese in Part 2 because he was seemingly on the hunt for revenge against all three of them. Granted, Terry Silver was the main focus, but he had it out for all three of them for sure. And Kreese has dealt with his fair share of crap throughout his entire life. He dealt with the death of his true love Betsy in the war, losing one of his best friends in Ponytail, having his best student and surrogate son-like figure walk away from him in his life, having his other best friend Terry Silver frame him for a crime he didn't commit. He's been through the ringer. But a lot of that has indeed been self-inflicted. And I think Quan's death is what's finally going to get through to Kreese that all of this is happening pretty much because of things that he did. We've been talking about a character redemption for Kreese for a number of years in the fandom, probably ever since season 3 or 4. And I think this ending of part 2 is definitely going to catapult Kreese's character to finally get that part of his character arc. He's dealt with a number of different things that I just previously mentioned, but he's never dealt with the death of one of his own students, someone he instructed, someone who took 100% of his teachings to heart and executed them all, only to end with him ending up in a pool of blood with a knife sticking out of his chest. Both deaths of Betsy and Ponytail weren't entirely his cause. However, the cause of Quan's death was inherently his fault because he brought the Do to the Sekai Taikai, and if it wasn't for that Do being there in the first place, this may have not happened. I know Quan was the one that picked up the knife and tried to use it and failed, but Mr. Miyagi said it best, people. No such thing as bad student, only bad teacher. And Quan was just following Kreese's teachings and putting all of his trust into him, and he paid the price for it. This is one of the character arcs and storylines that I'm super looking forward to most in part 3. And I don't know, I just really got a strong feeling that this death of Quan, it really wasn't just for shock value. It's gonna have a deeper meaning in part 3, especially for our characters that saw this death happen firsthand, which is, I guess, all of them, but you get what I mean. To put it into summary, Quan had to die because he was a raging psychopath in the making, and the creators played it just right. They introduced an absolutely ruthless character and an easily impressionable character that fans wouldn't have too much attachment for, so they were able to kill him off while not hurting too many of the fans' feelings, but still have him serve one of the main characters and the main villain of Kreese and setting him up for a potential redemption arc. But guys, that's gonna do it for this little video on why I think Quan certainly had to die in Cobra Kai Season 6. Definitely let me know down below in the comment section whether you agree or disagree with any of the points I made. Do you think that Quan's death is gonna have the biggest impact on Kreese amongst any of the other characters, or do you think this death will hit a little harder for someone else? Definitely let me know it all below. Leave a like on the video if you got something out of today, and make sure that you're subscribed to to the channel if you want to stay up to date with any of my videos. I got a lot more coming in the pipeline on parts 2 and 3 that you're not going to want to miss. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. No mercy.